tip and the kind.
Oh man, we are live. Last week was nice. We had to do it twice. Welcome to episode 8 of Sports4U Wrestling. This is the Women's Week Part 2 as we continue to go in depth inside the women's division as we get ready for War Games coming up in a week from now. I'm Trail. That's my guy, John. And I said it last week and I say it again. We cannot talk about the women's division without the voices that matter the most, and that is the women of the IWC, the women of all podcasters all over the world. Tonight, we are joined by representing the Acknowledge the Dynasty crew. We got Leslie in the building. Leslie, how you doing today?
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to be with you all, and super excited to represent my podcast sisters at Acknowledge the Dynasty. So I'm just looking forward to tonight. Again, thank you for having me. Let's go.
Not a problem. Thank you for pulling up. And of course, last but not least, she is the final boss lady representing the island of the DWE. Welcome to the show. How we doing? Oh, did we lose connection?
That's what I actually clear it right quick.
All right. Well, once we get her connected, hopefully we can hear from her. So we're just gonna dive into it because I've seen the name of the crew and it started with the Acknowledge, so that could only be one thing. That maybe you're a big Bloodline fan. Am I correct?
Yes, you are. We actually, the pod is just, we're three, and we're an all-female pod, and we are just dedicated. Our thing is we just dedicated to just shouting out and just giving props to the Hawaii Fatu Dynasty. That's, we go from the beginning, from High Chief Peter Maivia to the current superstars that you have in Roman Reigns, to the Usos, to, of course, Solo, onto the ones that you haven't seen yet, which we're super excited to see, Mr. Lance Anoa'i and Zilla Fatu, yep. And the others that you see, Jacob. We could just go on forever with this family, but that's what our pod is about. That's who we represent. Of course, we're not connected to them in any way other than that we just love the family, and we just respect what they've done for the decades they've done it. So this is our little gift and our little thing for them and for their fans and for wrestling fans.
Oh, that's pretty dope. Because when I seen that, I was like, oh wow, they got a channel and a pod dedicated to the family. If I'm them, I'm pretty sure they'd be honored and privileged to have such a fan base that support them. Because I've been a fan of the Anoa'i family since I was a kid, and not knowing all of them were related at the time. Because
same
as a kid, I literally thought Yokozuna was Japanese, but when you're a kid. You believe everything when you're a kid. So before we get started, we got final boss lady who's in the building. Miss Boss Lady, how you doing? It looks like your mic is still muted, so if you can hear us, probably want to unmute your mic. Or John, if you want to text her, let her know that her mic is muted.
I got you. Oh, there she goes.
I can hear you. It's a little bit shaky.
Sorry about that.
Because I am on my laptop, but yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Cool. All right. So first, since we just finished talking about the Bloodline, we're gonna dive right on into it. Oh. Roman Reigns has an issue at the current time. He's trying to find a fifth man. I mean, he personally hasn't been around Nasty anyone, so he sent the Usos, he sent Sami Zayn out there to get some backup. And the choices that they chose to ask were not good ones. I mean, they asked Seth Rollins, he said hell no 2 times. So it's like, what options does Roman Reigns have? Because Roman Reigns is running out of time, and he's running out of patience, and he's running out of people to help. Because let's face it, for the past 4 years, they ran roughshod over the entire Raw, SmackDown roster. So it's like, who's left? So Leslie, I'm gonna start with you, and then I'll give it to my boy John. What's Roman Reigns gonna do? Do you have any ideas who it might be? Do you have any theories? Because I know me and John got a whole lot of them.
Oh my gosh! First off, I love Roman. I adore Roman. He's my favorite. But he has beef with a lot of people. So, and rightfully so. Those people aren't going to want to help him. It's going to be one of those. I remember what you did. So some may say Roman is getting his just desserts, as we say. But he's still got to find, he's still got to find that member. He's still got to find that fifth member. Some say, I've heard so many crazy theories, and I've heard the Brock Lesnar's, I've heard the CM Punks. Someone even mentioned, Cody or whatever. But I think right now, in my opinion, and it's out there, is that most logical. And I can't wait to hear what y'all have to add to it. But do I want Seth to be on the team? I would always prefer it to be family that shows up. But if not, Seth, I mean, would I trust him? No, but you still got to have that fifth member. And in my opinion, is he going to even be worried about the other members of the bloodline, because he's going to have his beef with Bronson Reed? So I really don't know. I guess that's my pick. Just see, what do y'all think? Y'all got some new theories? I'm ready to hear it, and see what's up.
Yeah, I do got some theories. Boss Lady, what are your thoughts on this bloodline situation? Because Solo's team got Bronson Reed, which wasn't on the bingo cards for me, that's for sure, because I did not think it would be him. I thought they would sneak in Kevin Owens or something, but they got the big Aussie who looks Samoan. So you think that's going to be enough for Seth Rollins to be like, all right, I'm in after what happened on Monday?
I mean, here's the thing: is I didn't know Bronson Reed has Samoan in him until they decided to put him into the story. So I guess it's gonna be a big push for him. Am I excited about that? Not really. Speculation is going around that Seth is just kind of like a red herring. Is going to be CM Punk. I don't know what the man is going to be at this point. I know it's something to do with Seth. They wouldn't tease that if they were going to do something with him. He has to play a role in some regards. Whether he's the final pick, that, again, I don't know, but he is entwined with this Survivor Series in some regards. So if he's not the actual fifth man, then he's going to be the person that will bring that story through that curve and explain how we actually get there. So it's either Seth Rollins said no, and this is who we have, whether it be Punk or someone else who they bring in. But he's going to be involved in some way. I have my speculations about who they contact, which would be Paul Heyman. This is something that we actually talked about as part of our rehearsal for YouTube. But I believe that Sami Zayn was the one who actually called Paul Heyman first. He knew that phone didn't work. That's why he got mad. He threw it down on the couch and then told Roman. Now Roman is calling Paul Heyman, which his phone disconnected. We know the story. We know that Solo stepped on Paul Heyman's phone in the ring, and that's why it's broken. We know that. But the whole twist will be, hey, Sammy called Paul Heyman first. Why didn't you run that past Roman? And I think, and I think that's how it becomes that story. Was here we go again. Other members of the bloodline are kind of doing their own thing and stepping over Roman. And I think that's how they build that story. That's how they build that tension. But as far as whether it's going to be Punk or Seth, everyone is saying Punk. I think it's going to be Seth because why would they even throw that out there if he wasn't going to be involved in some way?
Right.
I felt that one. That's true because it's the point of Seth is already saying no, and now since Solo cost him basically the match against Bronson Reed, it's like you would think at the final witching hour is going to be Seth. But before I get to what I think the scenario is going to happen, John, what are your thoughts on possibly, like Boss Lady said, Seth being the hero in the end?
Cool, man. I just think we talked about this last week, and this was and ladies, I'm gonna let you. Our final segment of the show is called "Calling Out Names," and I can't wait to hear who y'all have on that segment to call out. In my calling out names, I was telling people because I think a lot of people got so caught up in seeing the spoilers, they didn't get a chance to let themselves enjoy what the story was going to be.
Exactly.
Like we all know we all get cooked something every now and then where we just don't know how to we want to rush it and throw it in the microwave instead of just putting it in the oven and let it bake a little bit. And a lot of people didn't let the story bake. And that's why, because you have people jump to conclusions like Leslie was saying. Some people thought that it was going to be KO and Cody. Some people, like we're hearing Seth. Everyone now would think of Seth because Bronson Reed. I did not have Bronson Reed on my bingo card to be in the fifth member of Bloodline 2.0. That was the last person on my mind. But when you look at him, and yeah, he's Australian, but he fits. Pause. He fits because he's dominant. He's gonna just want to just destroy anybody in sight, and that's pretty much what's been the new Bloodline's MO. If you stand in their way, they're just gonna maul you over, whether you're a superstar, referee, security guard, or you're walking through the metal detectors. They don't care who you is. So I do have my theories thinking itself, but then like me and Trevor was talking, what if it could be Punk? And this is Paul Heyman bringing out one of his, because I go back to Punk when he first came back last year. Obviously, that quote in my mind of him acknowledging Roman Reigns and saying, but remember who the OG Paul Heyman guy is. But like my esteemed host would say, it was Brock Lesnar. Now, some people, someone who's watching it was saying she's hoping that it's not Brock Lesnar. But it's got to be either Seth or Punk. But I think it got the Seth part because, like Sammy was saying, you stood side by side with Cody. Just for the greater good of taking down the Judgment Day. You don't want to stand side by side with Roman for just one time because you're afraid that his status, he's going to elevate over you. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens tomorrow, Friday night, when they get to Salt Lake City.
True. Big facts. So let me address the one about when they brought up Cody. In a way, Cody kind of humbled Seth Rollins because he didn't like Cody because he started a new company, smashed the quote unquote throne with the sledgehammer.
Right.
So he didn't like that. And then he came back to the company like, he's a knight in shining armor. And Seth Rollins took offense to that. They had their battles. Cody Rhodes went undefeated. And then the moment he kind of got Cody's respect. But the moment when Cody got screwed over by Roman Reigns and made his mission get that title back, Rollins was like, you know what? I don't like you. I respect you. And I want you to take Roman down. Now, him not wanting to team with Roman Reigns, I believe that because you don't take a steel chair to the man's back 10 years ago, over 10 years ago. And yes, they teamed up back then a few years later, but that hatred for one another, it'll never die.
Right.
Like Seth Rollins, couldn't stand Roman Reigns for this tribal chief version of Roman Reigns for the past 4 years, and Roman will never forget what Seth Rollins did. So my theory is they're gonna make it seem like that Seth Rollins is gonna come and join the team, but I think it is gonna be Punk. I think somehow Paul Heyman is sitting back with a new cell phone with a plan in hand, because like John mentioned, when he came back, he almost knocked on the Bloodline's door when he came back, but got stopped by Kevin Owens. So that's already, he really don't have any beef with Roman. He actually respects Roman, because if you ladies remember, and John, out of all 3 members of the Shield, who's the one that beat CM Punk? It was Roman Reigns. So he already acknowledged him as the guy of that group. So I think to pretty much plant the seeds for this Seth Rollins CM Punk feud that's going to happen on Monday. I mean, not on Monday, in January at the Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be CM Punk, and that's going to piss Seth Rollins off to the point that you got this guy to help. Definitely hell no. So I think Paul Heyman's going to come back, and he's going to bring CM Punk, and we're not going to find out who he is to either the go home show or literally when that final buzzer hits for that 5th man, it's going to be CM Punk. That's what I think.
That's good. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We shout out everybody. The whole DWE's here. The whole ATD is here. Shout out to Miami the Great in the chat. Shout out to Monique and Monique in the chat. Shout out to Greg in the chat.
Shout out to the fam.
Shout out to Arthur Lena Dow in the chat. Shout out to our girl Nessa, Humble Roses. They were supposed to join us tonight, part of the round table, but Bess is recovering right now. She'll be with us. Her and Angel Rose, they'll be with us in a few weeks to end out close to the end of the year. Shout out to Circle Debate, another West Coast wrestling podcast in the building. Just thank everybody again for joining us. The support is real. And again, to you ladies, DMV, Tennessee in the building, West Coast in the building. I'm just glad to see all y'all here on this night.
Appreciate y'all for supporting women's podcasting, because I feel like in this day and age, females don't get a lot of respect in the world of podcasting like they should. So we're just here to show that we're strong men, but we don't know everything, and we always value the opinion of a lady. So again, thanks for the support, and thank y'all for pulling up, because we wouldn't have a women's show right now without the ladies. So I appreciate y'all. Speaking of women, we still got another piece of business in the women's division. The Women's United States Championship tournament to crown the qualifiers to crown the new Women's United States Championship. I went over this last week. I want to get you girls' opinion over this, because I already got John's opinion from last week. Would you prefer having the United States title just breathe a little bit going through both shows, or are you on the side of, all right, they got a United States title, let's go with an Intercontinental type championship as well? Because I feel like the United States Championship should breathe a little bit, go through both brands, because the last thing we need is one too many women's championships, and we already got a deep roster as is. Leslie, what are your thoughts on pretty much the WWE Women's United States Championship being now officially in the WWE?
I am super excited to see that. If you look at the United States Championship in general, that's such a storied championship to have. And, future world champions, many future world champions have had that on the men's side. And I hope it grows to be that on the women's side as well. As for answering your question, though, I agree. I do want to see that women's IC title. I will be stoked when we get it. I will be excited when we get it. But I feel, let's let this women's United States title marinate. Let's get us a champion. Let's get it to what's the word I'm looking for? Let's get it working. Let's get it cycling. Let's get it, serving its purpose, and then we can continue, I believe, in the future to get that Intercontinental Championship. I do know who I want to win that championship, and I do know why, but I mean, we may cover that in a few or whatever you all want me to do on that. But
we can get into that right now. Who do you want
Yeah.
to win? Because I got Chelsea Green.
Yeah, we got our answers last week. So we want to hear from y'all.
So my sentimental pick, my heart pick would be Naomi, obviously, but my wrestling brain says, let me take off the fandom brain for a moment and just put my wrestling brain. I want to see Bayley, and this is why I would want to see her. I feel that inaugural champion needs to be a veteran, in my opinion, to establish that championship. Yes, in the future, give us like the first couple of champions, maybe as veterans. Then in the future, yes, a Chelsea Green, a very talented Chelsea Green, could get that title. You get that title to a Tiffany Stratton, to a oh gosh, there's many, to one, to if you want to go further, get it to a Jade Cargill, get it to there's many other ladies, even in the tournament. I mean, you look at it and there's oh my goodness, you got Bianca, you got Chelsea, you got even Electra and BFAB, they got to be talented. That's why they're in WWE, right? So but to make a long point short, Bayley is definitely my inaugural, I feel, for that inaugural champion. Now, later it could be, like I said, it could be used to build up those other ladies superstars, but for now, to elevate, I guess is a better word. But for now, I guess, in my opinion, Bayley.
Yeah, that I actually mentioned Bayley in the beginning too. So that if they were going to go that route, I could see them going with a veteran to be the first. But these girls have been working hard, so I'm always going to say Chelsea. Boss lady, what do you think of the women's United States Championship, and who you got? Who do you want to win it, and who you think's going to win it?
As far as for your first question about should they wait on the IC title, I'm 50-50 on it. Supposedly, when they go over to Netflix in January, Raw is going to be a major show. So I do feel like because of that, an IC title for the women is going to be a big thing for them. I think they should have their own brand, kind of have everything over there. None of this wild card stuff when you're going between brands. At the same time, I can kind of see where you're coming from. You don't want to have too many titles. You don't want to, even though AEW is great, but you don't want to have too many titles and it loses its prestige. So I get that. But I do think IC title should be on Raw. United States Championship for women should be on SmackDown. I think they can do it. They have the people. They have it up bodies. We're not in the mid 2000s anymore. Back when, at that time, the company that had the biggest women's roster was actually TNA. People were jumping ship because of that, and then it became AEW later on. But at this point now, they have the people. They have them on the main roster, and they have a whole bunch down in NXT, so they can do it. As far as who I want to be the champion right now, it's just something I've talked about before. You got to put it on a veteran. You have to build up that prestige. You can't put that title on someone that's up and coming in the company. Chelsea Green is a good candidate, but she cannot be your first champion. She cannot, because everyone thereafter is going to bring down that title. You got to put it on someone like, your Baileys, your Naomi's, because Naomi was a champion. She was your SmackDown, a champion on SmackDown when she had the Feel the Grow gimmick, years back. People forget that. And it was huge for her back then. Even if Nia was to drop it at Tiffany, I mean, you can put on Nia for a bit. You have to put it on someone that is established. Let them hold it for a few months, maybe a few weeks, depending on how fast you want to go, and then you can elevate your upcoming stars. There comes, people like Chelsea Green. There comes maybe Tiffany, who wants to cash in for it, because she can cash in for any title that she wants to cash in for. There comes other people for NXT, maybe your Last Legend, maybe, and after what we saw last week with BFAB, maybe your BFAB. I mean, even on Raw, if they are going to do an IC title, even a Maxine. I mean, they have those options, but the first initial runs have to be by a veteran. And I say that because look at the men's titles. Yes, you have had some mid-card people hold titles over the years, but does that bring down the prestige of the title? No, because look who else held it at the time. For example, Jinder Mahal, great example. A lot of people said that was a wild card, that was a mistake. And I get why they did it, because they were branching out in a different country, so they wanted to have a face of that country. I get it. I understood it. And he looked so great at the time. I mean, this guy did a 180. He was jacked up. What did he do and how? But he looked jacked. So I get it. But before that title, I mean, he was a mid-carder. But because of everyone who's held it previously and then after it, do you look down upon that title? No, you don't. Imagine if he was the original champion, held it for years. Would you really want your top guys going after that title? No. Because it's so prestige now, no matter who holds it, it won't lose that value. And that's the same thing they got to do with these women's titles.
That's a good point. Now, let me ask you, you said that eventually you wouldn't mind having them having the Intercontinental Championship on Raw. Do you think, because on SmackDown, I feel like they got a more fully loaded women's roster on SmackDown than Raw. So you think that Triple H on Raw has booked these women strong enough to where they can have an Intercontinental Championship on their own brand only? Because when you think of the women's roster, you think of Bayley, you think of Jade, you think of Bianca, think of Tiffany, think of Nia, and they're all on SmackDown. So you think by them bringing out an IC title so soon, is that a risk that they're asking for? Because they really haven't built the women on Raw. We haven't seen Lyra Valkyria in a while. Dakota is barely coming back. We haven't heard from Io's already getting a title shot with Liv Morgan. And then we have the women's champion Liv Morgan and Raquel. Raquel's not going to go for the Intercontinental Championship, I don't think. I mean, you still got the women from Pure Fusion, the Collective, but we haven't seen them literally on TV that often. So they got the pieces. I'm with you on that. They should have their own title, but the way they're booking them, will that title even mean anything compared to United States Championship?
I mean, you have to remember, so who else is on Raw? Rhea's on Raw. And the other thing is that when or if Liv loses that title, what happens after that? Where is she going? So you have that option too. Then you have upcoming returns, people like Alexa Bliss, who is also was last seen as being a Raw star. We're waiting the impending return of Becky Lynch. We're also waiting for the impending return of Charlotte, which Charlotte is a SmackDown girl, but we don't know. That might change coming in January. We don't know that.
That's true. I forgot about Charlotte, because my theory is there's going to be Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship. But that's the theory I'm holding out. That's the rumors I've heard, that they're planning that. But also, like you said, we also got eventually the return of Asuka whenever she comes back from her injury. So I can actually see, if they do have an IC championship, I can actually see Becky coming back. So now you got 2 of the 4 horsewomen being their inaugural champions on the respective brands. So once you put it that way, I can see it. It's just they haven't really showcased so much. So I'm actually anxious to see the return of Alexa Bliss, which I'm guessing might be on Raw in January, or it might be the Royal Rumble. So I'm anxious to see how that's going to go. John, what do you think of them possibly having the IC title on Raw, and who do you see being the inaugural champion?
Well, like I said, if you said the IC title, right?
Right. If they do in fact bring out an IC title at the beginning of the year.
Let me say this, and I think we kind of crazy. I think we all agree. I think based off of our conversations last week with Megan and me, shout out to them for being on the show last week, and with Final Boss Lady and with Les. I think we all agree is definitely should be a veteran. When I saw Bayley in the first match, I was like, okay, that's definitely her winning. And then I looked at how the rest of the bracket shaped out for the United States title. I'm like, okay, Bianca, Chelsea, Vera Davenport, Jade, Michin, Piper Niven, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Elektra Lopez. So we'll get to that in a second. But to the IC title, yeah, I can see. I would like to see it because way you look at it, it's way it's being pushed. The U.S. title look like it's going to be exclusively on SmackDown, and if you're trying to really promote brand supremacy with Raw here, with people, superstars on Raw here, superstars on SmackDown, and then you mix it, you blend in NXT. Yeah, I would like to see a women's Intercontinental title. I think you need to space it out, maybe obviously with the prestige of what the Intercontinental title holds in general. That might be the title we hear when we get closer to the road to WrestleMania, like on the road to WrestleMania, because obviously we know the finals of the women's tournament, US title is going to happen on Saturday Night Main Event. So give that a few months to breathe, and whoever the champion is going to be, and probably around Elimination Chamber, or maybe at Mania, right before, maybe at Mania, we should crown a inaugural women's Intercontinental champion, because we just think about how many great people have held that title. Obviously, you got to have the title for the simple fact that a woman won the title. A woman won the title. So
never happened again.
The woman won the title. So it makes sense that if you want to pay homage to what China did beating Jeff Jarrett that night, we got to have the title. We got to have that title. And I think about all the great Intercontinental champions. I mean, look, two of them are running the company in Triple H and Shawn Michaels. The Rock was a great Intercontinental champion. Obviously, Roman, Seth, all these superstars, we can go down the list. The women deserve that moment. It's the same thing with the men, like with the women with the United States title. So many greats have had that title, whether it was in NWA or WCW or now in WWE. So give the women that title. And like the ladies have stated, and we have stated also, Trell, a veteran sets the standard for that title. We go back, and this to piggyback on the point about veteran. Let's go back to when they made the women's North American title. Obviously, when we was watching that match, me personally, I thought it was going to be Jada Parker, but it ended up being Kalani Jordan. So, but they had Michin in the match. But you think about it, there were more established NXT superstars who could have been that champion. Like now, you see him now is paying for it because Fallon Henley's now the women's North American champion. A lot of people thought she won it that night. So the point of y'all is just astonishing and brilliant that a woman veteran, an OG, can set the bar and then let those see, and let's see who's going to be the hungriest for it.
Yeah. And to piggyback on what Final Boss Lady is saying, to Nessa's point about you got more women coming up from the NXT roster pretty soon. Your Roxanne Perez's, your possibly Corey Jades, Lola Vice might be next. Jada Parker could be on her way because her stock is shining real good right now. So it might be to the point that she might not need an NXT Women's Championship, and she might get called up in 2025 to participate in a tournament for the IC Championship. So they're doing big things down there in NXT, and it's going to exuberate to the main roster. So right now, to everyone's point, the WWE has the most stacked women's roster and probably the most utilized
Awesome.
women's roster. It's just, how to fit them all in. But that roster right now can go toe to toe with any roster in North America, in my opinion, even better than AEW's. By far better than AEW's, even though AEW's roster can be better. They got the talent, but the way it's booked, it makes it seem like they barely have any women. But with that being said, I'd like to continue while we're on the Raw topic. Let's stick to Raw. I'd like to get your guys' opinions on this whole Wyatt 6 Final Testament feud, because it's been pretty. Every time I see this feud, it makes me wish that Bray Wyatt was alive, because him and Karrion Kross, the promos, the vignettes, the videos they could do with one another would have been pure cinema, because the way their minds operate on telling stories and creepy stories at that. So to see them, it would have been special. But I gotta give it to Bo Dallas. He's starting to turn into his big brother. Especially what we saw on Monday with that little video of him. I thought that was Bray for a second, because adding Miz in there for the actor perspective of it. You're finally getting Nikki Cross to actually perform, and then Scarlett's actually being able to perform instead of just being a valet. So I'm actually digging this. I'm hoping this would be a traditional Survivor Series match at Survivor Series. I would not be surprised if it's a go-home show on Raw. Boss Lady, I'm going to start with you on this one. What do you make of the Wyatts and Final Testament, and would you want to see them as Survivor Series, or you think it's going to be another go-home show main event?
So to go back to women's, there's one person where I forgot, Mickie James. Mickie James has stated that, a fan said they want to see her do one more run, whether it be in WWE or back in TNA, and she said, I think I'm about making that happen. So put that out there. That recently came out. So, there you go. But as far as, moving forward, the Final Testament and the Wyatt 6, I mean, I haven't been high on Wyatt 6 really since the original debut with Bo Dallas, like when they first came back. They have lost steam with me over time, unfortunately. I mean, I respect it because, losing Bray, especially even with the promos or vignettes rather, that Bo Dallas has done, he was just so hurt by his loss. And, especially the fact that if you know the story, I mean, Bray had just came back from the doctor that day. And if he would have had on that defibrillator on, he would still be here with us. He left it in the car. So I have a lot of respect for him. And, one thing he talked about was he was just so close to, bringing Bray and Bo together. And they were close in that storyline. And then, unfortunately, what's passing day, they couldn't do it. So for that, I have a lot of respect, for Bo, and even with him doing this character and just having the memories of, Bray entwined in that. I know it's great, but it's also bittersweet because it's just the memory of it. Anyone's lost someone, like I have, deceased mother, gets but this match, I don't think it should go to War Games. I think that it's better off just being, I wouldn't even say even a main event on a go-home show. I think they can kind of put it midway through the show. If they wanted to do it as a on Survivor Series, they could, but I don't think they have to. But will they do it? Probably. They probably will have it somewhere in that middle of the pay-per-view, and they'll take a good amount of time, and it'll probably be a solid match. But for me, unfortunately, my heart is not in it. I was originally a big fan of, the Wyatt Six, and going against, American Made before the whole departure or before the whole split. That was where
Mhm.
I really, loved them. But now with them going against Final Testament, I mean, I'm a hard not in it.
Yeah, I feel you because the way it's being booked and how often it's being booked, it kind of gives you a feeling that it's probably going to be on an episode of Raw as opposed to the PLE. Because the way I noticed, the way WWE does it, their heavy stories make the PLEs, and the not so stories they're the ones that pretty much highlight, Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whatever. So I'm with you. It probably won't be the main event. I'm pretty sure they probably have maybe the women's war games set up as my final segment or something. So I do believe it's probably going to be like maybe the end of hour 1, beginning of hour 2. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. Leslie, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think about this team? Did Triple H botch a good thing, or is it just not the same? The fact that Bray's not here.
I think now the debut was amazing, and I have to agree with Boss Lady. I think it's kind of been a little bit lackluster since then, because they had us all as a fan base excited, and we were like, oh my gosh, and it was creepy, and it was amazing with that debut. But just to even see them beat down like that, when they had that instance with Final Testament, yes, Final Testament is trying to. I'm going to try to give them some credit because I actually do like Karrion Kross. I do, but even in that, I just feel like they could have done better. They could have booked better with the Wyatt Six. I feel it made them look a little weaker when they got beat down by Final Testament. The only thing to me that saved that segment was you did see Uncle Howdy kind of just let out the sadistic laugh at the end, and just like brother. But having said that, it's all in booking. It's all in booking. That's all it is. I feel that the Wyatt Six does have potential to be, a big story. It's just about storylines, just about booking. Final Testament the same way. You got that stable. It could be dark, and you could have this darkness versus darkness type of deal if you would just book it correctly. But right now, I'm going to agree with Final Boss Lady. It's just lackluster right now to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's not doomed. It's just there's so much they could do with the vision of Bray Wyatt without Bray Wyatt actually here. So it's like you're trying to carry on a legacy, but it doesn't feel the same as you would think it would be. So I agree with both of you. It's the storytelling, the booking, it's everything, because this could have been booked better. The Final Testament could have been booked way better, even way before they even met the Wyatt Six.
Right.
When they was battling the Hurt Business 2.0, which I'm gonna call them now. I'm not calling them the Pride, because that name, they could have did something better with that. So I just call them the New Hurt Business. That feud could have went better than what it was. But they need to get together on the booking part. But I do agree. I feel like it's a combination of they're not producing it right. And also it's not the same because the man who had the vision isn't around to explain his vision. So John, what do you think?
R.I.P. Bray Wyatt. That day still seems unreal that when you finding out this man's at that young of an age, and we're all young, and him be gone, and it's like I commend Bo Dallas because those ain't easy shoes. Those ain't easy shoes to walk in, man. And for him to even have the courage, the family to even have the documentary, and then obviously him still want to go through with the Uncle Howdy character and trying to make the Wyatt Six work. It's, man, Yes, like I agree with the ladies. It's been lackluster, and it's tough because, like, I compare. We Sports4U is originally a sports podcast, and obviously we have Sports4U Wrestling on Wednesdays. When I think about sports, I always think about no one likes being the guy after guy. Me being here in LA, I've been blessed to hear some legendary broadcasters: Chick Hearn, Vin Scully,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody never wants to be that guy, the succeeded guy, because everybody's gonna see the GOAT, but they're never gonna want to embrace the heir apparent. That's why we
Right.
always have these debates with who's the GOAT, because every era only wants to embrace who they feel like is the greatest and never try to embrace somebody trying to fulfill the footsteps or fill the shoes of, trying to be that next person. And that's what Bo Dallas is doing, trying to be, he's trying to be the guy, but it's just difficult. It's difficult. It's real difficult. And I give him credit for trying to, but it's not easy. It was going to be lackluster because it was never going to meet up to nobody's expectations of what we know Bray Wyatt would have done had he still been alive.
That's true. I don't think that he's trying to be his brother. It's just now, if we remember when Bray came back and he brought Uncle Howdy was kind of portrayed differently than what you see now. It was almost like he was not a sidekick to Bray, but he was like a supporting cast, if you will. Like he was like a supporting cast to him. Mm-hmm. And now it's like with Bray Wyatt gone, now he has to lead a group which is totally different. They all fit the mold, but it's not the same as the original Wyatt family, because the Wyatt family, they didn't take L's much because they were big dudes. They were jack dudes. They destroyed the roster. They destroyed the Shield. They destroyed everyone they got their hands on. This version, obviously, they don't have the size stats to do that outside of Eric Rowan. So I get that. I knew from the start, I was kind of worried about when it got started how it was going to turn out. Mm-hmm. The first night, pure nostalgia, had everyone in their feels, had everyone with chills. I still get chills thinking about that return night because, man, we're like, man, this is awesome. It looked like the shop of horrors back there at one of those music parks when you go to the mazes. You had like people laid out. You had Chad Gable with a bullet through his head. Looks like he had a bullet through his head. And it's like, holy shit, this is some awesome shit. And after that, it's like, once they started getting into an actual feud, that's when it's like, all right, Chad Gable, it worked because it was Chad Gable. Alpha Academy didn't really help. And then you got American Made. They ran through them. Mm-hmm. So now it's like, I'm wondering, was it too early to put them with Final Testament? But at the same time, it's like, what else do they do? They're literally the only faction in WWE outside of the new Bloodline, which is on another show. So it's like, are factions now becoming a thing of, oh, should they get rid of factions, or should they start booking them better? Because in the beginning, I thought, okay, we got these factions. We got LWO, you got the Final Testament, you got the Herbids, you got the Bloodline. And I'm like, oh, they're bringing back the factions like the old days, but it slowly dissolved. So I'm wondering, you guys, do you think that maybe the Y6 maybe has ran its course already, or is there a way they can like save it? Like, Leslie, what do you think?
On the subject of like factions, just for a second, I think factions can be good in the business and in the promotion. It's just I feel like that there are too many. As for the Wyatts themselves, it's kind of hard as a faction. Of course, you could put them against someone like a Final Testament, but I would I would like to see more, as far as they're concerned, see them go have their own feuds, have their own storylines. But it doesn't even have to be huge. Just something just to set apart each. Let us see a glimpse of each member of the faction. Let us see a member. Let us see a glimpse of what they're like as individuals. We know they're scary as heck and they're creepy and they can be as a faction. Let me see a Nikki Cross in the ring with another, as this character in the ring with another female WWE superstar, and see how she responds, see how she portrays that character. Let me see Eric Rowan, with another WWE superstar in this character. That's what I want to see from them. But and you can still have that feeling as a faction. I mean, even back in the day with let's say for the Shield, I'm a Shield girl. You had Roman fighting singles matches. You had Seth fighting single. You had it, but yet they still did their brother thing as a faction. So that's just my thoughts. Keep them as a faction. Let them do their thing, but let them do their thing as individuals as well.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we will start. Maybe that's probably what the problem is. We don't see them individually have matches. Like we didn't see Chad Gable versus Lacey. We didn't see one of the Creed brothers versus Eric Rowan. You know what I'm saying? So I get what you're saying. Maybe we get Scarlett versus Nikki Cross by themselves, but I guess since they're always running in groups, it kind of gets old and stale, and they can't be out there every week. So they wait to, a couple of weeks, do a little video here and there. So I'm with you. We should have them have one-on-one competition matches, or at least some tag team. Put them in the tag team division. Have them, chase the champions, get some gold around their waist, or at least make the champions look strong. Trying to beat them or something. But yeah, that I agree with that 100%. Speaking of championships, we got. I correct me if I'm wrong, John, ladies. This is the first time. Is this the first time we're gonna have a world heavyweight champion and the WWE champion on the same team as Survivor Series?
Yes, it will. Men or women. As far as I remember, men or women, this has never happened.
You're right.
Because when this came about, starting at Crown Jewel, when all the pieces were fitting into the puzzle, I was wondering how the Women's Survivor Series team was going to be booked, who was going to be in it. I knew for a fact Jade and Bianca were going to be in it because, one, they're the tag team champions. And even if they weren't the champions, those are your two strongest women in that division on SmackDown. So I figured they'll definitely be on there. But now you add, with Indy Hartwell being gone, now you add Candice LeRae, Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, Raquel, and Nia Jax on one team. Then you have Bianca. Pretty much the big three: Bianca, Naomi, Jade, Io, which she has a future championship match with Liv Morgan, so I understand that. The fifth woman, I wasn't too sure because with the injury of Rhea Ripley, I didn't think she was going to be back in time. I thought for sure she was going to miss it, but she came back on Monday Night Raw looking like the old Cody Rhodes when he dished the paper bag and had a mask on. It's like she went into the Cody archives for a second. It was like, hey, I need to borrow some material. So she came back with the little makeup on her eye, with the little Kobe mask. And I'm like, wow. So she is going to be back. And she hit pretty much Liv Morgan made her that segment. She was starting to get on my nerves a little bit because she kept going on and on about her being smart, this, and that. There's 5 of us. There's 4 of you guys. And I'm like, I thought for sure it was going to be Bayley because my theory was Bayley's going to show up. Bianca can't stand Bayley. And Bianca was going to be the reason why that team lost because that animosity she has with Bayley. And then also you have Io Sky, who has some beef with Bayley as well. So I thought Bayley was going to pull up. But then, lo and behold, Rhea Ripley pulls up with the mask and everything, and she said the infamous words, which sounded pretty cool because she had the Australian accent. Not quite William Regal, because nobody's gonna top William Regal when he yells out "War Games." Because man, when you know his business when he yells out "War Games." So I miss Regal on that one, but Rhea wasn't bad. So now pretty much the War Games is set. Rhea Ripley will captain her team versus Liv Morgan and her team. I'm wondering. I'm gonna start with you, Leslie. Everyone's wondering. This is a prime example for Tiffany Stratton. You got the women's champion and the world champion in the ring at the same time. It's literally pick your poison. Do we see a cash in at Survivor Series?
Oh man, Tiffany's got a dilemma there, don't she? Well, as far as I would like to see it, but then seeing a cash in the middle of that War Games match, I really don't know if it's going to happen, to be honest. Would I like to see it? Possibly. But anything is possible in WWE. That would be, if you're thinking, if you are Tiffany, you are thinking, this is the time. Nia, you have Nia saying, distracting her every time she gets ready to cash in, and telling her not to do it. No, not to do it. And she conforms and she doesn't. So this would be, for one, if she chose to cash in on Liv, Nia's going to be distracted with, what is it, 3 other women, so she can get in there, sneak in that 3 count. Boom, there she's champion. Or it could be vice versa. I would be for it, but I just don't know if it's going to happen in a War Games match. That would just be, it would be so much more chaos than what it is. I'm all for organized chaos. I love it. I would like to see it, but I just don't think right now that that's going to the way it's going to go. I think she's going to cash in later in the year. Of course, we got to remember though, she has till, what is it? Doesn't she have, is it? Okay.
She has a year, so she has until summer of next year to.
Right. So like June or July or something like that. So
July, yeah.
We got a lot more wrestling between now and then. So, but to answer the question, it would be great. She would have opportunity, but I don't think they're going to pull the trigger just yet on her cashing in.
Okay. Boss Lady, do you agree with Leslie? How do you see the women's War Games playing out?
Yeah, well, first off, I wish they would have held out on having Rhea return so quickly. We don't really know if that injury was kayfabe or if it was real. Reports came out that it was real and that it just healed up. It's halfway healed and you can still work with it. We don't know. But I do wish they would have brought it up later on. I think by them bringing her back so quickly, even though she looked great coming back and she was amplified, I think it was just too soon. They should have waited it way longer, likely after the PLE. As far as for a Tiffany cash-in, no, I don't think you do it at the PLE. I think they can do a lot more with this briefcase, with the story to build her up. They can have the shenanigans again, like a wannabe cash in all the time. She can use that to help get her over. She pretends like she's going to cash in and then she doesn't do anything for the bell rings, because that's what they do. When you have a Money in the Bank winner, they're like, hey, I'm going to cash it in, and then the bell doesn't ring. And they start the match and it doesn't count because the bell didn't ring. So they can do so much more with her in the briefcase. She can elevate and be even more cockier than what she is as far as her whole Tiffany time gimmick with this briefcase. She can have people break it like how they were and take it from her again. I mean, they can do a lot more with it. She does have a year. You said it should be around the summertime. That when she originally won it. Maybe she might do it at Mania. I mean, we don't know. She could do it even at the Rumble. I mean, she can literally do it at any time. I think realistically, we'll see her cash that in either after January, well, in January when Raw moves to Netflix, or when you start seeing some of the returns of these original legends, like we talked about earlier on in the podcast. We talked about the Charlotte coming back. We talked about Mr. Bliss coming back. You know, if they want to go ahead and put either the title on them, or even the IC if they do make one, or the United States Championship on them. So they can do a lot with that. And I think right now, she needs to hold on to that briefcase a little bit longer, cash it in on one of those legends once they actually win the title, whether it be, again, women's title or a mid-card title, and then she can do that cash in. Right now, I just feel like it will be a waste of a cash in. If they were to do that, she would have to work really hard to build it up and have her be a believable champion at this point. So I don't think we're going to see a cash in for this PLE.
I heard that. You think you actually think they would pull the Austin Theory route and have her cash in for a United States Championship and not the main title?
They could. And for her, it can go either way. She can either, hold on to it for a little bit, cash it in on the United States Championship on a legend, on a GOAT, and then have it already be prestige. Or she can cash it in on someone that is an up-and-coming star with the United States Championship, and she can be the one to build up that title. So it really depends. But if she was to cash it in on someone that is up and coming, she would have to be that title holder for a longer time to prove herself with that title. So it depends on how they want to go with it.
That's true. I agree with that. Because who I don't have Nia getting to Mania as champion, so someone could pin her, a veteran could pin her, and then you can have that cash in there. So you're right on that one. John, what do you think about go ahead? Sorry, boss lady.
Remember, they were teasing the whole cash in on Nia. They were teasing that dissension so much, and then we never got it. So I mean, are they going to bring that up later on down the line? We don't know. Could that be ultimately how Nia loses that title? We don't know. But remember, they were teasing that dissension for a while, and then it kind of went away. So.
Yeah, the moment she grabbed Tiffany by the throat, I was like, "Yep, that's your future WWE Women's Champion right there." I was like, "Cause there ain't no way she's gonna sit there and let that slide." After getting grabbed by the throat like that on live television, so I think she's gonna be the future champion on that brand for sure. John, women's war games. What do you think? You agree with Boss Lady? Did Rhea Ripley come back too soon? Because I had her come back at the Royal Rumble. So was it too early for her to come back into pretty much this demonic, structure?
All right, here we go. So I thought personally it was going to be Bayley, because that's what I said earlier. When people see spoilers, we overreact. So when you think about how everything played out over the last couple of weeks with all 10 of these women, obviously we know Rhea got clubbed in the eye with the metal bat at NXT. You fast forward, obviously we go to Crown Jewel. Liv beats Nia with the help of Raquel. Obviously they had the run in with Bianca and Jade on the Raw and Riyadh, and cost it and get them both eliminated out of that battle royal. We set up the tag team title match the next week. Then here comes, but before that, you had Nia and Tiffany losing to Bianca and Jade on SmackDown, and Candice LeRae gets involved. So then here comes Nia and Tiffany try to get that receipt, and it backfired because Naomi was there, even though she got laid out by Nia. Bianca gets the pin on Liv Morgan, and I'm gonna keep reiterating that because I don't think that point is not getting expressed enough. Bianca Belair pinned the Women's World Champion. That needs to be reiterated. And then you fast forward to Friday when Nia and Naomi having their match. They get smashed in the backstage by Liv and Raquel, and now we fast forward to Monday because it was taped, and you see, and let's not forget the whole EO principle of it. I need to find a comment. Somebody said it was run the running wrestling pod said, I don't understand why Bianca has no issue with EO, but still doesn't like Bayley for damage control. Okay, so you look at this situation when Bianca shook hands with EO, I was like, oh wow. And then you fast forward to Friday night, her and Jade are still giving Bayley that side eye. Bayley almost helps Naomi win, but then the numbers game kicked in with Candice LeRae. So I thought the math was going to be mathing because you could kind of see it being Rhea, because if it wasn't Rhea, they would have just had Bayley come out. Well, not let me tell you that. They wouldn't have Bayley come out because she wasn't walking with Bianca. If it was Bayley, they would have just saved it for SmackDown. But since it was on Raw, it only made sense for it to be Rhea. And Rhea, I'd agree with Trey. I thought was coming back closer to the Royal Rumble to get that insane pop at in Indianapolis. But she's been a veteran of War Games. EO's been a veteran of War Games. By the way, shout out to Ellen Media who posted in the chat, remember Boss Lady, that I think EO Sky has been in every women's War Games match, if you want to count. This is her 6th women's War Games match.
Yeah.
6.
Date all the way back to NXT. Yep.
Yes. She's been in every women's War Games match that's either been on the main roster or NXT. But I don't see a cash in. I do want to see a moment where we get a PME on one side of the cage and EO doing her over the moonsault on another. I think that would be sick. But I think the foundations of, we already started to see the foundations crack with Nia and Tiffany. We seen it weeks ago. And now you adding Candice LeRae in there because Indy Hartwell's going. She's now going to try to be her royal subject and basically phase Tiffany out. And then eventually, when the time is right, she's going to cash in and get that WWE Championship. And then, like what Trey was saying, we move forward to Mania with possibly her and Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, that's a theory I'm holding out on. I'm sticking to it. It doesn't necessarily mean Charlotte Flair is going to come back and win the Royal Rumble, which I hope not, because she doesn't need to win the Royal Rumble. She can, get her championship match another way. She does not need to win it. She does not have to win it all the time. But I'm a keep it within the Judgment Day. Nessa, you're gonna owe me one. The men's members of the Judgment Day, it looks like they're teasing a split from that, because Dominic Mysterio all of a sudden grew some balls ever since he got hooked up with Liv. Is that he became an actual man today, and he's been sticking it to Finn Balor, because Finn Balor is still jealous Finn. He got jealous when Damian Priest had the number one contendership for the title. Then he kind of got a little jealous when Dominic was like, I could beat Gunther. I can do this. I can do that. And he always seems to rub it in his face that he's the only one that's actually been able to beat Damian Priest, which he did. He pinned him right there in the ring. So because I know it's going to happen, when do y'all think that Judgment Day will finally, because it looks like Finn and JD McDonough are going to branch off with the tag team titles and be on their own, leaving Carlito, which I still don't understand why he's there, but by himself. And then Dom, obviously, he has Liv and Raquel. So, Boss Lady, what do you think with the Judgment Day? Obviously there's cracks. Do you think this is it? Are they going to split the team up by the end of the year?
I mean, there have been cracks in the Judgment Day since we left, and not this last time, the first time when the revenge tour started with Liv. There have been cracks ever since then. If they're gonna break them up, go ahead and do it. This whole push and pull, like they're doing the same thing with the New Day. Stop teasing it. Go ahead and get it done. I have a soft spot in my heart for Finn Balor. I'm pretty sure you guys know why. It's because, he had that big push. He was champion for 24 hours, got hurt,
Yeah,
and then never champion again. Never.
not again.
Never. Just fell down the card. Absolutely terrible, terrible story for him. So I do want to see the push for Finn, whether it be with him being a tag team or even with him doing a mid-card title would be great. But if they are going to break them up, and that's one thing I fear, is that if they break them up, what's going to happen to Finn? Because, let's just be honest. Do you think they're going to give him even a mid-card push as just a regular mid-card guy? I don't think so. You probably won't see him on TV. Similar to like what happened with Imperium. Remember when they broke them up? What happened there? So it's kind of the same idea. As far as Carlito, man, I was a big Carlito fan, and I was so happy. Yeah, and I was so happy to see him come back. And when he started giving little nuggets of his, this cool gimmick when he was backstage with Judgment Day, when he had a little, oh, that's cool when, someone got a little interesting message from him. I was like, oh my God, yes, they're going to bring it back. And man, Cleo's run hasn't been the best. He's a little bit wobbly now. He looks the same in the face, but he wasn't what I wanted him to be. And then some things came out with him saying some very not so popular comments on Twitter, and that may hurt him now. So I don't know what happens with Carlito. I don't know what happens with Finn. I hope that they give him a push that he deserves. But as far as Judgment Day, either give it to us or don't. Either give it to us and have and do something with them, put them in a tag team, or just change the name and make it a three-way group. I don't know. Or, have it where eventually Damien comes back and they're reformed. Do something. But they need to start building those seeds now and not having this whole dissension thing. It's been going on literally for 3 months now. So it's now or never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with Finn. However, I do believe in the management of Triple H, because like you said, when Vince was running it, that was his only shot. When he hurt his shoulder, he relinquished the championship, never got a rematch, and then the time he actually did got a rematch, they botched the hell out that match with him and Roman Reigns. That was dumb on that. But I think Finn and JD, they're still the tag team champions unless they lose to the War Raiders. This coming up. I think those two are gonna be on their own. Carlito, hopefully, to Boss Lady's prayers that he actually does get a singles run, because when he came back, I initially thought he was gonna get a singles run. They automatically put him with the LWO, and he was just the background guy the entire time and never really had a singles run. Then he went heel. That didn't last long. They sent him to Judgment Day, which I get it. They don't want him in catering, so put him in something. They have some comedic moments here and there, but if they're gonna, like you said, if they're gonna break them up, do it, make it happen at the Royal Rumble. They eliminate each other, they go their separate ways, what have you. But I don't think Finn is gonna go anywhere. I think Finn would be all right. Maybe he'll feud with Braun Breaker for the IC Championship. Maybe he gets right back into the World Heavyweight title picture because him and Gunther will put on a good match. Maybe he gets moved to SmackDown and he have matches with Cody or whoever's the WWE champion over there. So I'm not gonna hit panic mode just yet on Finn, because I believe for now I'll still believe in Triple H. Leslie, what do you think of the Judgment Day, the cracks? What do you think they should do with them?
I'm gonna have to agree with Boss Lady on this one. I feel like either give it to us, get them back together, work that out, or just just be done with it. We haven't seen our tag team champs defend their titles that much. I'm one of these. Just let them lose those titles. Let Finn and let JD go out on their own. As you said, I'm not really worried about Finn. If they do him right, he's talented. We know what he can do as fans, and in that writing room, in that in creative of WWE, they know what they got in a Finn Balor. We laugh and we cut up when it comes to JD. Our ATD crew, we have some fun names for him, but despite all that craziness, he's talented in his own right. So I just feel like being in a group is hurting these superstars more than just letting them go, splitting up the group and letting them go on their own. You got Liv and Dom, they're killing it in their storyline, which I thought was just cringe at first, but I grew to love it. I'm gonna be real. So, but they're doing their thing. You got, now I think it's time just to let the others go their proverbial separate ways and shine like the superstars that we know they can be, especially Finn. I'm with Boss Lady. I'm really cheering for Finn. He's special. He's awesome. So that's what I think. I'm like, go ahead and just split them up. It was great while it lasted, but I feel right now is the time too as well.
Yeah, they ran Raw long enough, even with the former group of him, Damian, Rhea, Edge getting ceremoniously booted. Then Finn Balor took over, and then that run that they had, they basically rivaled the Bloodline on SmackDown, because you had them over here and you have Finn Balor and the crew over here. So it's like they built these factions up, and so when they had their little interactions, I thought that was cool. No pun intended. John, what do you think about the Judgment Day business? You think this is it for them? Do they finally need to go, or like the ladies say, if they're gonna work this out, work it out and be done with it?
Stick a fork in and they're done. It's a wrap.
I don't know where he was going with that.
It's a wrap. Done. It was fun while it lasted. Shout out to Edge for even having the idea of seeing underutilized talent and putting them in a faction, and they all blossom. It's over. It's over. It's time. Finn Balor needs to go ahead and have his moment in the sun now. JD McDonough is going to be JD McDonough. Carlito, he's on the final. He's on the final hole of the golf course. As far as with Dom, I don't think pretty much to this day, and I know Nessa's probably watching, he could probably pretty much crap himself and everyone's still gonna love it to this day now. He's if he goes, eventually we want to see him and Ray have that reconciliation and let him go and see if he can be the face without having his daddy in his corner. But right now he's a heel, and I gotta respect it. I mean, I don't know nobody who's getting more heat than him other than Solo. But
dude is killing it, man. He is killing it.
As far as with Liv and Raquel, is this going to eventually turn into? And then we go back to: is this eventually going to turn back into like where Raquel is the Diesel to Liv Shawn Michaels? When are we going to see her actually be Big Mommy Cool? We saw a little glimpse of it in NXT, but we haven't seen it since she's been on the main roster. I see you, Miami. But yeah, like Tech said, Dom needs a rival. I think they'll find one for him. But it's over for the Judgment Day. Stick a fork in them. Put some A1 sauce on it or something. It's a wrap. Go.
Yeah.
Move on. Same thing like and what Boss Lady was saying. Same thing with the New Day. What we doing? When is the 10-year anniversary? When you bring back Big E so we can see Xavier Woods smash Kofi into oblivion? Let's get it going.
Oh, Survivor Series. It's Survivor Series. Either it's gonna be the Go Home show or it's gonna be Survivor Series where this is finally gonna be. They're dragging it out till then. But the writing's on the wall with those two. The writing's definitely on the wall. Yeah. Because I've been wanting. Go ahead.
You ready to call some people out in a minute, man?
Oh no, we still got the most important roster of all to talk about, and that's the NXT roster. We can't overlook the brand, because speaking of tag team, the tag team division in NXT has been on fire lately with these fights, man. Like, what's going on? Like, Ava pretty much called them all out. Like, y'all want to come go get it, and they're pretty much putting the tag team champions in jeopardy. And the tag team champions are like, they're on the verge. And that's another team that should have been. Are you gonna split them up? Or are you gonna keep them together? Because they've been teasing that split for the past 6 months, and every time you think they're splitting up, they somehow come together and win the tag team championship. So, who do you guys, Boss Lady, I'm gonna start with you. What tag team down there you got that's gonna beat Axiom and Nathan Frazier? Because you got OTM, you got Hank and Tank, you got the Don family over there. Yes. Who do you think that's gonna be the ones to finally break this team up?
This is something that I talked about for a different superstar, but I mean, just in general about faction. Factions are not meant to be forever. They're meant to build somebody up or build up the entire team, so that way you can eventually break up and become your single stars. That's the whole point of having a faction. Could you imagine if the Shield never broke up? You wouldn't have your Roman, you wouldn't have your Seth. They wouldn't be what they were now, or are now. So you have to kind of keep that in mind. And it's kind of going back to Judgment Day and New Day. I mean, Judgment Day, well, not Judgment Day. Well, they've been around for a long time, but New Day 10-year anniversary, just passed. And I mean, my God, are you gonna have poor Kofi and poor Xavier Woods really in their career retired, just always being really this tag team? I mean, Kofi Mania, but how long ago was that? Yes, was run, King of the Ring, but how long ago was that? And they're older. So I don't know how it is. I would assume like maybe in their 40s now, maybe, or close to it. And so I just, gotta keep that in mind. Even if their singles run is not the best, same thing. Same thing for Street Profits. They've been together for some time now. I know they were worried about Dawkins not being able to shine on his own without Ford, but it's time for them as well. And we kind of saw that distinction there now with them. DIY, oh my God, just break them up. But as far as for
stand an ovation, please. Stand an ovation, please. My God.
I mean, you have to remember that Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano feud was absolutely amazing. That original feud blew my mind, and that was back when I really watched NXT. I don't really now. I'm not gonna lie. I barely have enough time to even breathe. So I mean, if I'm going 16 hours a day at work, how many hours left? 24 hours in the day, and I have to, do the things. So I mean, it's tough for me. But as far as for NXT goes, I mean, at this point, I don't think that they should bring any faction to NXT now. I think they're supposed to be factions in NXT and then bring them on as singles competitors. That's for women and for men. We don't want to see the same thing repeated over and over again. It's the worst thing you can do to your stars. You don't have to have them always tied up. And I think a good example of that is, and I'm not going to bring up ladies because it's the best example I have right now, is Jade and Bianca. So Jade actually kind of skipped through NXT. Should she have? Probably not, because she's working on that ring. But she came in with Bianca to help, build her up as far as her ring work and things like that. But could you imagine if, let's say, Bianca was still back at NXT and they brought in Jade, and then they did months down there, and then it came up, and then they come to the main roster still as a tag team. We're kind of getting tired of them now as a tag team. So could you imagine that? So I mean, anyone who they bring up from NXT, they need to break them up, have their dissension, and have them come over to the main roster as your single stars and give them that push. They don't have to be, going for main titles. They can go for mid card titles. They have the IC for men. They have United States Championship for men. I mean, my God, we have two main titles. We have the one on SmackDown and the Raw on Raw. Don't ask me what they call them now because they're all undisputed, whatever. I call it SmackDown and the Raw Championship. I like the red and blue belts. I'm sorry. They did bring that back. The only belt that I love was when back in the day when they had the World Heavyweight Championship. The original one, the one on Raw, the big one that was really, really wide, looks similar to almost like an IC throughout the middle now. But now let's bring back the red and blue belts because I can't do it. But the whole point of it now, they have to. And I don't want to see anyone who bring up from NXT. And granted, I don't watch the product that often, but I don't want to see them take that Asuka route. Asuka was so great down in NXT, and then she came to the main roster. She did something for a little bit, and then she kind of went down. Thank God, they had, her and a little tag team with Damage Control, but for one time. But she wasn't the same person anymore. She wasn't the Empress of Tomorrow anymore. And Shinsuke Nakamura, now we'll talk about him in a second, but when they brought him, wow. Wow. This guy, when he first came out with that entrance, everyone went nuts.
Hell yeah.
So good.
He came to that main roster and wow.
It's that old saying that people used to say, what Triple H turned into gold, Vince McMahon turned into dust. So Asuka had that run. Finn Balor was unbelievable. Kevin Owens was unbelievable. Shinsuke Nakamura was unbelievable. They all came to the main roster, and it's like Asuka streak ended, buried to Charlotte. Shinsuke Nakamura got his championship match against AJ Styles. The way they booked that match is like you gonna have him turn heel and kick AJ in the nuts. Like, really, that was the payoff on that. So no one will ever have a run like Asuka ever again, I don't think. But I think now that they got Julia in NXT, she gives me that Asuka vibes, even though she's already had her first loss already. So we can throw any undefeated streaks out the window because I don't care how many championships Shayna Baszler had combined, that run by Asuka was legendary. Like, to the point that the woman never lost the championship. She literally vacated it as a promotion. That's how highly Triple H thought of her, that her run was better than Goldberg's. if I'm gonna be honest, like, it was more talked about than Goldberg's. Jade, I thought for sure Jade was going to NXT, but I understand why they bypassed it, because the few stars that made their name from AEW, she actually made herself a big brand over there. So they wanted to treat her as such, and putting her with Bianca Belair benefited her because she's not a fish out the water. She's not a big fish in the small pond. She can run with Bianca for a year, and then when it's time, they're gonna break that team up, and Bianca's gonna be her feud. And I think Bianca should turn heel, and Jay can keep that Superwoman, persona, and then you start building up Jay Cargill as the new, however you want to put it. So I think it's a smart move the way Triple H did it. So I like how they did that. Axiom and Frazier to get back to the tag team division. I think they need to break that up. I'm over it. And like you said, you're right. Factions need to go. The Dawn family, that needs to go. They already got rid of Chase U. Chase U wasn't doing anything anyway, so they finally got rid of that. Thank you, Ridge. And the fans thanked them as well, but that's neither here or there. So to end, Leslie, you have anything to add regarding the tag teams of NXT? Or what did we just discuss?
As for the tag teams, I don't really get a chance to watch the product now, and when I do, I'm all watching the women of NXT. But I do, with Axiom and Nathan Frazier, I like them as a team. I thought they were, I think they're amazing. But it is time. It is time, and if anyone's going to take those titles from them, give them to Hank and Tank, okay? But as far as the women of NXT, they are super. They are amazing. That class, they've not been a weak class of women from NXT. So the men down there, step it up, guys. Definitely, because these ladies are on fire. They are amazing. Speaking of which, you all were talking about Asuka. Monty had put in the comments, give her Julia versus Asuka, and I tend to agree. That would be insane. But you got, let's look at it. You got Julia, you got Stephanie Vakir, you got, is it Zarya? Is that how you say her name, Zarya?
Yeah, Zarya. Yeah.
Got those ladies that's come in, and put that on top of the talent that's already there, man. To be honest, that's why I watch NXT, is for these ladies and to see them do their thing. And for Trick. Now I like Trick. He's one of my favorites as well. But yes, that's all I got, guys.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah,
I can't stand Booker T. That dude has me dying. Every time Triple H comes out, that dude has me dying. Like, oh yeah, man, you know what that is, Vic? That's Trick. That shit had me dying every time. Speaking of NXT, the Iron Survivor, women's Iron Survivor. Right as of right now, Roxanne Perez doesn't have a challenger yet, so I'm wondering if they're going to have her in the Irons, because I never seen a championship get defended in Iron Survivor. I think my idea is they should have Roxanne Perez defend the championship in Iron Survivor. Have it like the first time ever, because they're actually going to have Roxanne Perez just coast from October all the way to January, untouched, no opponent. She's got pinned by Zarya. She's gotten pinned by Stephanie, if I'm not mistaken. Julia is still breathing down her neck for a rematch. They're all clamoring for a shot at her. Jada Parker, even though she lost to Stephanie because of Lola Vice, I'm pretty sure she's going to be in the last chance battle royal, whatever they have at the end to fill the final spot. So, Boss Lady, what do you think about the Iron Survivor qualifiers so far? Who do you got winning? And should Ava put Roxanne Perez in that match, or just have her just sit it out and just wait?
I think they should put Roxanne in there. I think she is one of their biggest talents over there. I think Jada Parker would be also a great opponent for her. But yeah, definitely put Roxanne Perez in there. I'm just waiting for Roxanne just to come up with the main roster at this point. I'm not even gonna lie. Especially when she does her sit downs in the audience at SmackDown. They need to just go ahead and push her. And then a side note, one thing, I would be okay seeing once Bianca and Jade break up is to maybe put Jade in a tag team with Flash. I think, yeah, because they're so similar. Now, granted, Lash is, she's very tall. She's really kind of known for being tall as far as in ring style look. And then you have Jade, who is just, like a glamazon, or Amazon. So I think those two would be really good together. It would kind of pick up where where Jade and Bianca will leave off at, especially if Jade is still needing that help, and if Lash needs additional ring work. I think they can put those two together, and they can be our new power tag team.
I can see that because the bougie bully, she's been showing up the past couple of months, and people are high on her. And she passed the test when she was on SmackDown against Piper Niven, and she actually got Piper Niven up in that finisher. I was like, oh damn! So she's opened up a lot of eyes. I don't know what they're gonna do with Jakari Jackson. I don't know if she's gonna pull up with her just as an accessory, or they're gonna leave her down in NXT and promote Lash Legend by herself. That remains to be seen on that front. Leslie, what do you think about? Go ahead? Sorry about that, boss. Go ahead.
Because you see Jakaria with someone like B-Fab. You can do that.
I could.
Yes. Yes. She reminds me of a younger version of Alicia Fox.
Yeah.
Mixed in with a little Sasha Banks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Jakari, she showed me a little something. So,
and shout out to Alicia Fox. She was like one of the longest women on the roster before everything went down south with her drinking.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, she was known. Yeah, but she was known to be one of the longest women. So, but yeah, I can see Jakaria and B-Fab together. I can see Lash and Jay together. So I think that they can. So if they want to go ahead and pull those two and have the Ascension break them up down in NXT, bring them up to the main roster and do that, I think it'll be a great idea for both sides.
You could put Metaphor with Bianca as a heel faction. I think WWE missed the opportunity of putting Bianca in a heel faction with the Hurt Business. I do believe Bianca needs to go heel because I think her character alone is getting a little stagnant. If you will, she's not going to be like a John Cena who's going to be a babyface for 15 years. So I think for her in this day and age, she needs to upgrade her character. And I don't know about you guys, but I do miss the NXT Bianca.
They teased it after she lost
I miss that girl, and she's shown flashes over the years that she can still get down with the get down. Especially a couple of weeks ago when she slapped the zit off of Liv Morgan's face.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
And she didn't hold back. She laid in on that girl's chin. So I miss that Bianca, and we're long overdue for that Bianca for sure. Leslie, what do you think about to go back to the Women's Survivor, and what do you think about everything else that's been going on as far as the women in NXT?
Like the question was about Roxanne. Definitely put Roxanne in that match. She's experienced. She can only make that match better. She's she's just she's amazing in her own right. I love how y'all mentioned, you got Lash and this Lash and Jade. That could be definitely an awesome tag team. With Bianca, I want to definitely see a heel Bianca. I love the attitude. Speaking of NXT and Bianca, I love the attitude she had back in the day with that girl, girl that
Yeah, you don't even go here.
I love it. I love it. But a couple of my other faves too. I like Lola Vice. I like her. And one of my big favorites is I love Soul Ruka. I feel like with Soul she don't get enough recognition. I feel I feel she could be up there with the Jada Parkers and the Lash Legends if given the chance. She's definitely one of my favorites. But I've said it many times, and with the addition of with Julia and with the addition of Stephanie and all these other superstars coming in, NXT, that women's division is stacked. So I can't wait till they come up to main roster. But my fear is when they do come up to main roster, like we've seen, and I'm sure I think it's already been discussed here, then what happens to them? It's not always good. You don't see the character. You don't see the same character on main roster that you do in NXT. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how the words to use, but I hope when they bring them up that they show them
that correlates to the main roster,
right? That they display that to the fans like they did the NXT universe, that we see the same thing up on main roster.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what they've been doing. That's why if you notice, like on certain main roster PLEs, you'll see Trick Williams in the crowd. You see Roxanne Perez in the crowd. Or when Tiffany Stratton was champion, you saw her in the crowd. They're pretty much letting the main roster fans know, be on the lookout, for these people because they're right. coming. As opposed of yesteryear, where they treated NXT like the redheaded stepchild. No one talks about them. No one breathes their name. No one does, promotions about them. Now you got the main roster mentioning NXT, mentioning their pay-per-views, mentioning their champions and stuff like that. So now when they come up to the main roster, they're excited. When Braun Breaker, I'm glad they held Braun Breaker back because he was supposed to be on the main roster a long time ago. And I'm glad they waited out because now when he pulled up, now look at him.
And it says something about the NXT, brand as a whole. When you have main roster superstars going down there to work with those NXT superstars. So I'm gonna have to start watching the product more because it's gonna only get better. And I hope I do hope the men step up though, and I hope this WWE ID system that they got going on will do that and help that for the men's division of NXT. But that women's division down there is on fire. Shout out to Shawn Michaels and Ava and doing what they do down there for that division.
Yeah, and also bring back the Bianca from NXT. I want to see her with her hair whip. Bring back the EST. She's the fastest, strongest. Bring that all back. I hate it when they move into the main roster and they alter their character. It just because. Yes, the people who don't watch NXT at all or as frequently like I do, we don't care because we're going to see the new character on the main roster. But for people who watch all the shows, including NXT, when they see their favorite NXT star come up and they are known for NXT for having this gimmick and they come up here and it's a whole different gimmick, you're going to lose that. You're gonna lose the luster with those original fans, and that's why sometimes when they bring up NXT call-ups, it doesn't work because they're changing the gimmick altogether or they're altering it. Like Bianca, we're talking about Bianca is a good example. So she still kind of has that gimmick, but it's not exactly the Bianca we saw on NXT. So that's why now, while she's still a major star, she's starting to kind of lose that momentum. It's not lost, but she's starting to kind of lose it. Yeah, because she's tied up with Jade and getting her built up and the tag team, everything like that. But it's also because she doesn't have the exact same concept or gimmick that she had back in NXT. It's now she's definitely a baby face. Even though she's an edgier baby face, it's the watered down version of that original character. She's just an example, but that's the problem that we're having with these NXT call ups. So, but hopefully things now going to be a little bit different. They're not looking at NXT as that developmental brand anymore. They typically said it's now going to be your third brand. And especially now we'll get a chance to actually see that because, like Leslie just brought up, we have the WEID coming up, starting. So now that will be your developmental brand, and then officially now you'll have NXT be your third brand. And that's why you're seeing your major stars going down to NXT. One, to help out that talent. Two, to go ahead and bring the casual fan when it comes to NXT. Me. To start, I'm casual on the NXT side, but to actually go ahead and to watch that product and to put, this is a AEW reference, but to put butts in seats, for their live shows, because we all remember my favorite era, the black and gold era, where we had to have the lights down low and hope the tarps on because we didn't have the audience. I mean, let's just be honest. So, I mean, those days are beyond us now, but that's, where they were. So, yeah, hopefully now, we'll have a more stable call up when they do pull these wonderful women and men from NXT onto the main roster.
Yeah, I agree, because I never thought you see the WWE champion Cody Rhodes make an appearance down there. You had the Bloodline make an appearance down there. Jey Uso made an appearance down there. You have Metaphor's last legend Jakara Jackson going to SmackDown. They made history by being the first NXT talent to go overseas to Saudi.
Yes.
To be in that tag team match over there. So the NXT brand is going back to the old ways, but also with the ID. You still got Lance. I know why he on his way down there. Ain't no telling who else they're gonna bring. So the men's division I agree, Leslie. The men's division do need to step up, because right now the ladies are carrying that brand, and it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong, it's still a beautiful thing, but the men's division needs help, because when Tripp Williams is gone, who they got? They got Ethan Page, they got Wes Lee, they got Ridge Holland, and there's a rumor that the walking weapon, Josh Alexander from TNA, is rumored to be in talks of joining WWE and the NXT brand. So if they bring him in, you're automatically looking at the face of the division right there. So, John, what are your thoughts on the Iron Survivor and everything we just discussed? Because man, the ladies brought the heat today.
They really did, and I can't wait for calling out names.
Me too.
I'm gonna just keep this brief so we get to calling out names. The ladies have been killing it. There's no secret there. That division is just loaded. As far as Iron Survivor, I mean, because me and you were in our feelings when we saw that Stephanie Valcour had to face Jada Parker, and I was like, man, that stinks. I was like, man, that stinks. But I'm like, okay. But clearly we see that there's still unfinished business with her and Lola Vice, so we're going to get that. They're going to run that back again. I'm like you, Les. I'm a big fan of Soul Ruka. I was really hoping she hit a Soul Snatcher off the ladder at Battleground, but I want to see her hit a Snow Snatcher off that penalty box. When they get the deadline, someone's going to get that smoke. Somebody.
There's not enough room in there, John. There's not enough room.
Get a swanton from the top of it. She gets Soul Snatch. She got the ability. She'll snatch somebody's soul on the top of that box. I'm just saying.
Top of the box. Okay.
You got Valcour, you got Zarya. I expect Julia's going to be Kalani Jordan. And that last spot, should it be Roxanne? I don't know. Oh man, I'm gonna still keep it traditional. I wanted to go old. I still want to be be 5 challengers, and we'll see what the fifth one's going to be.
Mhm.
And then that's how I feel about that. And same thing, men, step your game up. Simple as that.
That like Monique agrees with you. She wants to see that snow. She wants someone. Oh, someone's getting their soul snatched because man, that's like the best. That's the best female version of an arc, close enough to an RKO I've seen from a female ever. So I love that. And Zarya, don't get me started on her. That F5 she does.
Oh my gosh.
that is crazy. I wonder, John, if it isn't Roxanne Perez and they do have a last chance match, what if it's the Juggernaut?
We'll see.
What if it's Jordan Grace? Because she's in transition of making her way from TNA to WWE anyway. So if the winner of Iron Sapphire does get a match at New Year's Eve in January, isn't Jordan Grace's contract up in January?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. So who lost already? Jada Parker, Cora Jade, Brent Sinclair, and we soon Kalani Jordan. Now they can go fatal 4-way, or if they throw in Jordan Grace and make it a fatal 5-way. So I think we won't know that until next. I think we won't know that till the week of, of deadline. But it could be. You never know. Ava's got some up her sleeve as usual. And tag teams, we'll see. I think it's probably going to be people forget about Gallus also. They were former champs. But yeah, it's time to split Fraser and Axiom because I don't think either one. Both of them are going to be in the Iron Survivor. We know Nathan Fraser is. I think Ethan Page is going to be Axiom next week, and he's going to just continue seeing the foundation, the cracks in the foundation.
All right, I agree. It probably won't be Jordan Grace. They probably save her for the Rumble. I'm assuming Jada Parker's coming out of this. I hope she does because that woman has been on a run, and for her to not qualify for Iron Survivor will be a travesty because Jada Parker is a future star on that main roster, and I believe she could be that cornerstone of that women's division because, man, I thought Bianca Belair was something when she's in NXT. Dude, Jada Parker, LSU's finest, is going to make some noise. So that pretty much concludes the women's State of the Women's Division Part 2, Women's Week. Now we're going to get to my favorite part of the show, and I'm going to leave that to the innovator, John, who pretty much made this famous. So, John, take it away.
All right, ladies. This is the fun part. I know y'all have had a long day, y'all have had a long night, so we're going to let you get your stuff off on something that's been irking y'all in the wrestling world. This segment is often imitated, is never duplicated. It started on the Sports4U podcast and is carried over to the Sports4U Wrestling podcast. It's our boy Doug's favorite segment. Sometimes people say stuff in the sports world, we had to call them out. So why not do the same in the wrestling world? Some people do stuff in the wrestling world, you got to call them out. So now it is time for calling out names. And I will lead it off to show you ladies how we get this going. And I only have one person on calling out names on the wrestling side, and that is one Mr. Tony Khan. Tony Khan was doing an interview today, obviously to promote Full Gear this coming Saturday with on WGN Network. And he went out and said this, Trell, Boss Lady, Leslie, great chat, which is lit right now. He said that AEW has all the top black wrestlers.
Really?
I feel like if he ain't black, he shouldn't say that. But go ahead.
To be clear, Tony Khan, and I brought this up last week. We have the top black wrestlers, but we haven't seen a thing on AEW TV in almost 2 years. What the heck are you doing with Ricochet? Ricochet, what the heck are you doing with Ricochet? Thank God for MVP, because MVP is pretty much saving that program, saving the program right now. Don't tell. I mean, look how much private party had to go through just to get their tag titles. When are we gonna push Queen Amanada? Why we haven't seen Red Velvet back on TV since she won the ROH TV title? And don't tell me you're happy with the way Mercedes Moné is being presented. It is flat out garbage. It's mediocre. I'm praying to God, to the wrestling gods, that Chris Statlander wins on Saturday, because I'm tired of it. Yeah, Miami, where's Keith Lee at? We ain't heard about Keith Lee. We had Swerve winning the title, but he had to be the sacrificial lamb because you wanted Bryan Danielson to have one last title reign on before his career ended. But you got the top black wrestlers. But you had to go get the Hurt Business so you can to try to revigorize the company.
Yeah, that's there's no way in hell I would have said that, because
why heck Willow ain't got a title?
Where is Willow?
She's in concussion protocol, and nobody knows, and that's not being stressed out enough. Come on, man. What are we doing? Let's get to the ladies. Man. Let's let the ladies have at it, Terrell.
That's true. If you gonna say something like that, you gotta back that up, and they have not. they have not backed that up at all. Boss lady, we got the concept of what calling out names is. Who, and maybe like a wrestler on a podcast, an owner, a promoter, a fan, who's gotten under your skin that you need to call out?
Honestly, I don't have one, but I can think of, so I can prepare for this. But as far as what John said, I mean, let's try to look at it positively. So the way John put it off for Tony Khan, I haven't heard Tony Khan actually say it. I haven't read that, so this is actually news to me. Comes off kind of real bad. But maybe he's saying that because, they now have MVP over there, and they have had and still have Mercedes Moné over there. So maybe it's to pay homage to all the great wrestlers that he has signed. But with AEW, the problem that they have now and been having is they have the talent, the amazing talent. They got the legends over there, got the bodies over there, but they don't have enough time to put them on TV, even with them having the two different products, and they don't have the booking to put them on TV as they should. They're still worried about the learning tree, and they don't have the time to put anybody else on TV, and that has been a problem with AEW for years. That has been something that's been said by superstars or their talent, wherever they call them AEW as their stars over there. So maybe he meant that in a great way because he's signing people like MVP and getting Hurt Business and everything like that. But I mean, it comes off as not good, but maybe that's really what he meant. I mean, remember who we're talking about? We're talking about Tony Khan. I mean, Tony Khan's family, our dad is very wealthy, so was he. This is his first wrestling promotion. So this is not his first per se. He started off this company with Cody Rhodes and with the Young Bucks, and I guess Kenny Omega was also on that as well. And it kind of went south after the second year, I believe it was, after Cody left. So now Tony Khan is trying to do things on his own and the best that he can. There was, this is from another a very famous podcast on YouTube. The first 2 years, everything went well for Tony Khan. It went exactly as it's supposed to run. It went smooth, went perfect. And then now he's been in there a few years, and now he has bumps in the road. He doesn't know how to handle them because he doesn't have anyone really backing him up right now. I mean, remember what happened with I call him still Jungle Boy, and CM Punk. I mean that, Perry and Punk. I mean that took Tony Khan through a loop because I think Punk was there maybe 6 months, and everyone was so happy to everyone was so happy to have him there, and he was so excited. Now there was no promo saying that he can do this. He was ready to come back. He wanted to work with new talent. He wanted to work with former friends and foes like Daniel Bryan, and then 6 months later it just went to absolute crap. And Tony Khan tried to pull that whole big thing where he was going to like reveal what happened between Perry and Punk. It was going to be like this whole big thing, and it really wasn't, and it just made it basically just proved that what Punk said was really true. Like that's actually like how it went when we watched everything that went down. So, and he made it out of it. As far as Tony Khan made it out of that whole hole, but I mean that's kind of where we are. So we really can't take what he says to fruition. Same thing with Vince McMahon. I mean, my God, we know the things that man has said in kayfabe and in real life. I mean, and let's think about old Vince McMahon when he was saying, in front of Booker T and Sharmell, "What's up?" the N-word to John Cena. I mean, I know remember that backstage promo, and it was rough. It was rough. It was real rough, and I get the idea, the concept of it. It's supposed to be like a funny gag because that's when John Cena had his Thugonomics. Well, that was actually towards the end of the Thugonomics era. The chain gang with the spinner and the master lock. But so I get the idea, but did he have to use that term? He could have used something else. He could have used bro or something. I don't know. He could have did something else with it. So I mean, you got to have that good PR team. If you don't have that, which it looks like Tony Khan doesn't have that. I mean, this is the stuff that we got going out. I mean, I talked about it earlier in the podcast with Carlito. He said some wild things on Twitter. Some wild things, and me looking at that as a Carlito fan, it blew me. And let's not forget, and I hate bringing up this topic, we got the Hulk Hogan of the world. We know what he did, what he said years ago. We know what he did years ago. We know he came back. He apologized. We know that he had a little sit down with the New Day. New Day still doesn't forgive him, but he said he was sorry. He shook hands backstage. He made amends. He came back. And now we're starting to see the old Hogan come back and basically saying, "Hey, I said it. Not really sorry, but just don't get caught next time."
Move on.
Because it was recorded. So we have that. So I mean, people say things, and if you don't have anyone to filter it out, this is what you get. So hence that's why Tony Khan had that comment.
So here's the comment, and then we'll turn over to Trail and Les and get back to you, boss lady. I think we're all I think these are all some of the best wrestlers in AEW you just named. We're really lucky to have those great stars. And we've been fortunate to be able to build some stars and also have a lot of great free agents come in to where I think so many of the top wrestlers, some of the top black wrestlers in the world are in AEW. And I really think most of the top black wrestlers are in the world are now in AEW. But I think that is a conscious thing. But I also think it's great, and it's an awesome thing to hear that. What are you talking about?
Wow.
I mean, again, it's Tony Khan. He thinks everything is well, peachy clean. Us fans, we see it. It's not. But when you're a multi-million-dollar owner of a company, who you gonna listen to? The money or people?
I said it, Trill. He's trying to
Listen to the
bring
money.
in. He's trying to bring, and Boss said he watched our show last night. He's trying to bring the NFL mind state to pro wrestling, where the NFL owners they rule with an iron fist, and he's trying to do the same thing. We saw how that got. You saw where it got Vince. You don't want.
Yep.
You seen where you let it get. Where you saw what happened with WCW. You don't want to go down that road. Get some good people in there who are gonna have your best interests and make your company succeed. And as I turn it over to you guys, it's been real quiet on them Shane McMahon rumors lately, huh?
Yeah, it has. Leslie, you have anyone for call non names or maybe a shout out? Want to give somebody a shout out in the wrestling world?
Oh goodness. Not really. My thing is, and with Tony Khan, I don't really know what's going on with him, but I'm just gonna say this guy's on that, and then it's 2024. We're coming up into 2025. I stated this. We had some trouble on our pod with some inappropriate comments, and I'm like, there's no need for it. Yeah, he definitely needs a PR team there to redirect how he says certain things, how he gets his point across. I do agree with that, and that's not good at all. But as for my part, oh gosh, I guess the big thing with me being online is you have these fandoms. You have fandoms of certain superstars who just are just the worst, being honest. And I'm sitting here thinking, as a fandom, mine can be kind of out there at times, for mine. But my message to them would be like, I'm going to quote some Taylor Swift. I'm a little bit of a Swiftie. You need to calm down. It's okay. It's just wrestling. It's not that serious,
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna say it. This is what calling out names, right? It's this Cody fandom, and
boy. The crybabies.
I'm a woman fan, and we get so much hate, and it's like, it's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, guys, we're all members of the IWC. We're all members of the wrestling community. Okay, let's just have fun. Let's love our product. Let's love and support our superstars, and do our thing. If we have a pod, let's run our pods. Let's collaborate. Let's have fun and just enjoy each other. And there's no place in it. There's no place for any negativity in the IWC and in wrestling in general. So, again, like Taylor says, you need to calm down. But
seriously,
but that's it. And just if I could, can I give a quick shout out to my girls?
Yeah, go ahead. Do your thing. Go ahead.
I would like to give a shout out to, of course, our tribal chiefess Monty, and we call her the Jimmy Uso of our group, Miss Lauren. So shout out to those girls, and I love y'all big, and let's do amazing things in the rest of 2024 and 2025.
Shout out to Monty. Shout out to the yeet. So, also, anybody you want to shout out before Trail goes?
Yeah. And before, I do that, kind of going back to Tony Khan just for a moment. I mean, before Cody had left and they had originally started up this company, they were going to be the other guy, but the better guy. They were going to be the wrestling company that didn't have contractors, they had employees and health insurance. They were going to be the company where they weren't going to be too upset when you cross to other companies or in other promotions per se. They were going to be a company that wasn't going to, punish you when you want to get out of your contract and bury you or add on this additional time to your contract when you get injured because they're mad at you. And now here we are. It's been 4 years later, and they're starting to do that. I mean, now you have Tony Khan adding on tying people's contracts because they were injured, because they're mad at them, because things got out about them going over to WWE. So this just shows you how, you start off with good intentions, that's wholesome, and then in a short period of time, you're now being the exact person that you didn't want to be, the exact company you didn't want to be.
Yeah, I called out
And
Tony Khan
this is in
last month for
4
that.
years. 4 years. I mean,
Yeah.
Vince McMahon did some horrible things, but how long has he been running WWE? Decades upon
30.
decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
30
this
plus.
happened. Tony Khan has did a 180 in 4 years. 4,
Mhm.
not even 10-year mark. 4. So I mean, you can only imagine, when they're, and I believe it's still gonna be around. But um, but you can only imagine how they will actually be. They're gonna be the next WE as far as how they are ran. So
Yeah.
I just want to show you. But as far as a shout out, yes, I do. I definitely want to shout out DWE. Miami down there, who is my business partner. We co-own DWE along with Reg and Greg. So I'm going to say hi to them. I'm also going to say hi to my other family member who is not part of DWE, but I love her, and that is Lena. And also hi to Edward and also to CJ, who was in here earlier as well.
We
All right.
appreciate it. ODWE is in full effect tonight. Shout out.
Yes,
Shout out to
we already knew. We rolled out the red carpet. We already knew it was gonna be some buzz when both Leslie and the boss lady pulled up. So appreciate all the support from everyone. This one is calling out names. I call it the kayfabe call out names because it's a character I'm gonna call out.
Oh boy.
And I'm glad you two are here because I do want to get a woman's perspective on this because I don't understand why this just happened. So I don't know if you've been keeping up, Leslie and Boss Lady. The whole dynamic between Petrovic and Ashanti the Adonis, that little love interest they got going on with one another, it's almost like it seems like they're teasing some type of hookup plan because it's like, do you like me? Like me not? This, and that. So they had a tag match against they had a mixed tag team match. They won that match. They get to the back. You can cut the tension with the knife that they're feeling each other, but no one's not really making the first move. So they're complimenting each other on the match and blah blah blah. They're about to, I guess, have a romantic kiss or whatever, and then Nikita Lyons out of nowhere walks by and is like, "Hey, Ashanti, I'm still waiting for that text back." Pretty much, and obviously Petrovic got jealous and she walked off. Why did she do that? Why do certain females, when they see a guy being happy, trying to get the girl he want, and then the other one just swoops in and says something just mess up the whole vibe? Because that was to me personally, that was unnecessary. She didn't have to do that. I mean, the man said he didn't even text her at all, and yet she comes out and makes it seem like that she did. So it's like, what? Like, I'm gonna start with you, Boss Lady. Why was that necessary? Why do certain females act that way? Because I mean, come on.
I mean, first off, I mean, I'm so done with so many love stories in wrestling, so we're just gonna move past that. I mean, it's just an old tried and true that's been going on since the 90s and maybe even before then. I mean, so we're not even gonna talk about. I mean, we've had, women and men do dating. We had women do crazy things. I mean, my favorite was the whole Obsessed fan when Mickey James played that against Trish Stratus. I know you guys remember that.
Oh, I remember that WrestleMania.
She got a lot of heat for that. Hence, Piggy James came out. But I mean, I'm just so done with that. But as far as your question, a lot of reasons. It can be envy, or it can be because it's in the best interest of the woman. So they could spot something that the other person did not see, and they want to protect that other woman, or it could be just envying. So, I mean, it really depends, or it could be an accident. Some people don't mean to be the party poop or the third wheel or the hater or bad wingman. So, so it could be also by accident as well. I think we've all have done it. I mean, how many times have you been the third wheel and you mistakenly kind of killed the vibe. Did you mean anything by it, or was it actually a mistake? For me, it was a mistake. I don't care what people do. But I mean, so look at it that way.
I usually avoid being a third wheel. Um, but yeah, I mean, like in real life, it's like I seen it happen all the time. But as far as storyline goes, like he had no interaction with her at all the whole time she's been back. So it's like for her to do that, I was like, oh, come on, man, let the brother be happy. You know, let the brother get it. Let the brother get his shine on. You didn't have to do that. Leslie, what you thought? Did you see that segment? What'd you think about it?
I didn't see it, but from the way you're describing it, like if he hadn't had no interaction with her, I'd be like, girl, what you doing? Just get out of my business. Can't you see I'm busy? But like, what are you doing? I ain't talked to you, right? But like Boss Lady said, you know, it could be positive or it could be a negative interaction. She could just be like, hey, what's up? Or she could have been just trying to legit getting in his business, causing, you know, trying to cause something there between him and his girl. But it's crazy. The like she was saying, the love story angles in WWE have went from we've seen everything. I mean, you think of Edge and Lita back in the day, it's like, whoa, okay.
Oh, jeez.
That was, you know, that was a hot mess, but emphasis on mess, not I say. But as far as that situation, you know, that could be positive or negative. It could either be, you know, hey, now did she have to pick that time if she wanted to reconnect or say, hey man, what's up? How you been? Did she have to pick the time when he was with his girl? No, she didn't. So it looked kind of shady to me as far as if you want to go storyline, but who knows, right?
Yeah. I mean, she's playing that here character pretty well. She's playing that chick that, you know, that just mess up a good situation just because she can, and Nikita Lyons can. So I believe on that one.
Oh, it was Nikita.
It was Nikita Lyons.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
My point.
But even with Miss Nikita, it could go. I could see that either way, but I think she just she might be trying to cause a little trouble there.
Yeah, she's a little messy. I'm like, come on, Nikita. I was on your side. That was uncalled for. That was uncalled for. The girl was finally coming around and she was, you know, about to give the man a chance, and he just walked in and said, hey, you didn't text me back. And it's like, oh, all right. And she walked off. I'm like, oh, damn. When the good guy tries to be a good guy, there's always somebody that comes out of nowhere and is like, nope.
That's how you push along the storyline, though.
Yeah.
Because think about the first seeds of when they came around Dom with Judgment Day. Jesus. You had people like Damien, you know, kind of talking to Finn. Well, we thought it was gonna be Finn also that time with the whole hotel key and all that stuff going on. But talking to Finn and talking to Dom and said, hey, you know, don't do that. You know, it's about us. It's about us. It's about, you know, Judgment Day. So I mean, it's also a way to kind of extend that storyline too. So you have to also put that into play when it comes to kayfabe.
I agree. Yeah. Before we get out of here,
but that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes episode 8 of Sports4U Wrestling. Once again, I'd like to thank Final Boss Lady for pulling up. Leslie, thank you for pulling up. We made history again for the second week in a row, and I'm appreciative to you women for agreeing to come on. And anytime you ever need us for a show, for an appearance or something, feel free to hit us up, because this was fun. I love having a dialogue with you guys. You guys know your stuff. And Leslie, I definitely want to dive in more into the bloodline history. So
yes, sir.
We can always cross that bridge another time. John, you have any final words before we shut this down?
Thank you again, ladies. Appreciate it. Final Boss Lady, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Me and you interacting a lot. You're cool peoples, and Les, you've been cool ever since the first day we've met y'all as well. So thank y'all again. we be remiss without letting the fans know where they can follow you guys and tell them what you guys got going on. So I'll start with you, Final Boss Lady. Tell them where they can follow you and what you got going on.
All right. First of all, let me say hi to Kyle. Hi, Kyle, the man Anthony. I see you down there.
What up, Kyle?
I see you down there. But that's up. Hey. But yes, you can follow me. I am only on X. So if you look for me on Facebook or on IG, you'll hit a dead end. That is not me. But on X, I am Final Boss Babies. That's BBYZ. I also have a secondary page, which is DWE Woman. So you can follow either of those pages. You can also find me every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on X, where we do live watch-along parties for SmackDown with WE. And then later on this month, preferably actually after the holidays, I am going to be on YouTube with Miami from DWE, and we plan to do a couple of things over there.
Can't wait.
All
Can't
right.
wait. Les?
As for me, my personal, you can follow me at it'd be at Leslie D 2022 over on X. As for the podcast, we're at ATD Podcast 23 on X. You can also find us. I haven't got that list of socials. I do apologize, but you can also find us on IG and let's see, I'm working IG and of course YouTube. But we're working
TikTok.
there and TikTok. Thank you. And TikTok. See, I needed her. She was the perfect one to come on with me tonight. See,
Yes.
DWE got my back. I love it. I love her. But we're definitely just all across social media. What we do have coming up, let me just say this real quick and I'll just get out of y'all's way. But for Survivor Series, we're going to have a basically a trivia night before Survivor Series. The questions will consist of Survivor Series questions with the Anawai Fatu Dynasty, their participation in Survivor Series over the years. There will be prizes, guys. There will be prizes. Actually, Monty just brought up, if you go on our X, there is a link tree in our bio with all of our socials on there. And we are a WWE shop affiliate as well. So just to shout that out, WWE.
Get merch.
Holla at Leslie, need that merch before Survivor Series or WrestleMania season, because WrestleMania season is right around the corner. And speaking of Survivor Series, myself, John Watson over there, we will be having pretty much a special Survivor Series preview next week with a very special guest that we will announce later on in the next couple of days on Twitter. So we are going to have a very special guest. And one thing I will say, he is an indie wrestler, so you might want to tune into that. So your boys got something cooking, man. We got something cooking, so we're looking forward to that. It might turn to a preview show, first half, second half Q&A. So we'll go over the schematics of that, and then later on that week on Saturday we will have our Survivor Series watch along live, and we also will be partner up with what was the pod, John, that we're going to partner up for the recap of Survivor Series?
We're going to be talking. Well, right now, our boy Drell from BRF Sports is going to be joining us. Shout out to him and Flash and Champ, Undisputed Champ. We're in talks with another podcast will be joining us. We shout out Holy Podcast. They was with us last week. They had representation with our girl Minx out in San Antonio, so they'll probably be joining us. And if you're down and want to join the Sports4U watch along, Final Boss Lady, Les, y'all more than welcome, y'all family. We want to definitely have those who we collaborated with be a part. If you don't have to stay for the whole show, you want to just come on to a certain match, give y'all 2 cents, and then head on out and enjoy the rest of y'all night. That's cool with us. But we will be live. That's Terrell said next Wednesday, previewing Survivor Series. And then next Saturday will be our Survivor Series watch along. So stay tuned for that. And all that information will be on at S4U Wrestling on Twitter.
And before we go, Boss Lady, you have another thing you'd like to add before we shut it down?
Yes, and I can't believe I forgot. So Survivor Series. So one thing we also do every PLE is that we do have a watch along, but it's a little bit different. So for our watch alongs for PLE, we have a tournament. It's based on predictions, which will give you points. So you predict the outcome of the matches, as well as 2 bonus questions or picks. So basically events that will happen throughout the show. Whoever wins, they do win money. So you have to have either a PayPal or a Cash App set up for you to win that prize. And then, of course, if there is ties, it gets splits how many people is in there. So usually it's 50. But right now it's a little bit different. I am your current champion.
Talk about
Which
it.
basically means for me is that if I win, I don't get anything. But for everybody else who wins, they get something. But because of that, my 3 competitors, they will be part of predictions as part of that $50 pot. Everyone else who is not a number 1 contender is part of the $25 pot. So this PLE will actually have 2 winners, whether it be myself or one of my 3 opponents, and whoever else that's contender will also be the one who's going to win. So you can either win 50 for my 3 contenders, or 25 if you are not part of my number 1 contender, which is going to be anyone. The only rule is that you have to submit your picks in before the 27th of November, and you gotta have either PayPal or Cash App.
That's Friday.
It's all on X.
That's Friday. So y'all got 48 hours. Get your money up.
Yeah, well, I wait into the last minute because I'm lazy, and it takes you like 10 minutes to do. But yeah, so if you're interested, definitely reach out to me so we can get you in before the deadline closes.
Yeah, if y'all want to win some money for the holidays, hey, test your
Yeah, and the last PLE, yes, it was a 3-way tie, so that $50 got split into $16.50 each. So it it can happen. So
gas money, baby.
Hey, right. So test. If you guys interested, test your knowledge. Test. You think you got what it takes? Hit up Final Boss Lady, man. That sounds like a golden opportunity to win some money. Because I mean, seriously, who doesn't want to win money? Like, let's be honest.
Guaranteed winner. So someone's gonna win. So guaranteed winner.
And on that note, again, we would like to thank everyone for attending the show. Boss Lady, Leslie, appreciate you both. Anytime, any place you guys need us, hit us up. We will catch y'all next week. We will have a very special guest on the show. And also, we will be talking Survivor Series. I will be live with my guy Dale from BS and Beer Media tomorrow on the Best in the World podcast on YouTube. We will also go over, probably, if I'm not mistaken, we're probably going to go over AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view that's this Saturday. I don't know what he's got going on, but, tap in, get in the comments, support the show. Appreciate the support for this show. We will catch y'all next Wednesday, same time, same place, same 2 guys, because, we don't do this for we just doesn't do it for ourselves. We do it for the culture, and # we do it for the brand. Trail, that's John, Final Boss Lady, Leslie. Y'all be safe. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the week of wrestling, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace out.